Greetings, Marvel Strike Force fans. I am Cerebro, your community manager, and welcome to Strike Time. We have an amazing show to get to today, but I do want to highlight something that happened last week over on MarvelStrikeForce.com. If you haven't seen it yet, go check out last Friday's weekly development blog where we gave all the details on Dark Dimension 5, including the kit for the mighty Dormammu. It also features an in-depth interview about Dormammu with one of our game developers who just happens to be today's guest, so let's get to the interview. All right, guys, we are back again. Another great interview. This is going to be a good one today. Lots of good information. Mr. Todd Owens, thank you for coming back, sir.
Hey, thank you for having me. Glad to be back.
And you've been pretty busy lately. You just did another interview last week.
Yeah, I had a chance to talk to Romantics about Dormammu.
Yeah, definitely go check that out if you guys haven't seen it yet. So, we have another big Marvel theatrical release. And if history has taught me anything, even from this year alone, we like to support those big releases, right?
That's right. We'll have two new characters from the Eternals movies joining us on Marvel Strike Force.
Okay, let's set the stage here because I think we're kind of getting into some new territory for Marvel fans out there. Who are the Eternals?
That's a long story. They've been in the comics for a while now. In Marvel Comics, there were ancient entities called the Celestials, and they came to Earth 1 million or more years ago in the first host. And when they were there, they did some experiments on the early humans that they found. And from those, they created the Eternals, and they created the Deviants. And the Deviants are more or less failed experiments. They become beast-like, they have destabilized DNA, they're prone to extreme mutation, and the Eternals were there tasked to keep the Deviants in line, and otherwise they would rapidly multiply and take over everything.
Yeah, it's that's kind of weird to try and put like 1 million years into like a few sentences, but I think you did a good job. I was also reading up a lot on the Eternals to prepare for this interview here. Apparently there were like 100 of them created. I'm gonna go out on a limb here and assume we didn't make 100 for this release, right?
That is true. We picked a duo that we thought would be a great representation of the Eternals and would also fit what we were going for the game. So we're bringing Icarus and Cersei to the game.
Well, short of flipping a coin here, I think I'll go ahead and play the ladies first card and say, let's start with Cersei.
Sure. So Cersei is a history in the comics as well. She has superhuman abilities, including strength, mortal, like all of the Eternals. And her main power is her ability to manipulate and transmute things that she comes into contact with. So we leaned into creating her as a controller for the duo.
All right, cool. Let's dive into this Master Transmuters kit. Would you please start with the passive?
Sure. So when she spawns into a mission, if she starts at full health, then she gains a one-time full negative effect clear, debuff clear, and a big heal for herself if her health drops below 40%. Also, when she starts a battle, she's going to give herself and Icarus a couple defense ups, 2 turns of defense up. And then if it's in Arena or Dark Dimension, she's going to give that 2 turns of defense up to all of her allies. And then on her turn, as long as she's not stunned, she's going to give herself 2 defense up and a turn of speed up. And then also she's going to pick one random enemy that has death proof, and she's going to try to clear the death proof off that enemy and then give herself and any other Eternals allies, which is just Icarus, +1 death proof. And then also on her turn, she's going to heal herself for a little bit. And then finally, she gives some extra health and some extra focus to herself and Icarus. Right. And in Arena and Dark Dimension, she gives some extra damage to herself and Icarus.
Okay, there's a lot there. Some things that I want to kind of drill into a little bit more. The part where she can essentially steal Death Proof and spread that to her allies, I think that's the first character that can do that on a single ability. Am I right about that?
Cersei is the first character that will do that with death proof.
Okay.
She's going to basically find somebody that has it, try to take it off them, and then give it to herself and to her ally Icarus. But it's not the first time we've used a mechanic like this. Strife has something similar to this on his basic, where if he attacks a character that has taunt, then he tries to take their taunt from them and because of that, then spread some the buffs on that target to his ally, Mr. Sinister. So not quite the same, but basically runs in the same family of abilities.
So on her passive, it also calls out that she has the ability to clear debuffs. Since trauma is still kind of a new effect in the game, I just want to be clear, will trauma prevent her clearing the debuffs off of herself with her passive?
Yeah, so if she has trauma and her turn comes up, any of her abilities that would normally clear a debuff, that won't go away.
And then finally, it says Icarus allies, plural. I'm going to assume that's going to account for any clones that are created of Icarus, right?
That's just us covering our bases for anytime anybody gets cloned, or for instance, in a mission or Dark Dimension sometime later, if the missions teams decides to put a couple Icarises or a couple Cerseis into a battle, then it would hit all of those.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Okay, yeah, great. Nice future-proofing there. All right, how about we move on to her ultimate ability, please?
Sure. For her ult, she starts out by clearing debuffs from herself and her allies. If the battle is arena or dark dimension, she's going to flip instead of just clearing them, which is a nice thing. Then when she does attack, it's a huge attack all, and if Icarus is an ally, she's going to reduce the speed bar of all the enemies at the same time as well. She's then just going to give herself and Icarus some speed up and regens. And if the battle is an arena, she's going to generate energy for herself. And Icarus, she's going to give herself 2 energy. She's going to give Icarus 2 energy. And then she applies taunt to the slowest enemy support.
Okay, so even more callouts to Icarus there. But what I want to zero in on is the part where it says you attack the enemy support with the lowest speed. That seems rather specific. Was that an intentional decision rather than just blanket an enemy support or enemy support with the highest speed?
Well, so as we're balancing characters, we do have certain goals that we've set out for them that we want them to achieve. Sometimes that's specific against a team or certain characters that we want to either enhance or eliminate. So for Cersei, targeting the lowest speed enemy support in arena, it just helps Icarus and Cersei hit the goals that we were really shooting for them when we laid out the team.
All right, let's keep this train going because we still got a lot to get to. How about her special ability?
Her special is really nice. Starts out by applying stun to her primary target, and then she's going to call 2 allies to attack that target, and then she ends her special by applying barrier to herself and Icarus, and in arena, she's going to apply barrier to all of her allies.
Okay, to be clear on barrier, there's a max that you can give a character, and I think it is that 30% max health, right? In case people out there don't know how much barrier you can have?
So, yes, so for each character, based on their health, their barrier can only be up to 30% of their health. So for a character like Cersei, who has a really high health, that 30% is not only going to fill up her full barrier, but is going to fill up everybody else's. And
finally, Cersei's basic ability.
For her basic, she's going to copy a couple buffs from the primary target, and then she's going to hit that primary target for a decent amount of damage. If Icarus is an ally, then she's going to flip a couple of the buffs on the primary to debuffs. And then she's going to call on Icarus to assist so that he will assist pretty much as long as he's there, he's going to come to help her on her basic. Now, if she's fighting an arena or dark dimension, then she's going to copy all the buffs on the primary target to herself. And if Icarus is an ally in dark dimension or arena, she's going to flip all the buffs on the primary to debuffs.
So an order of operations question. If her basic ability, if that would knock out the opponent, would she still copy the buffs off of them?
Yeah, the way we've set up the abilities for her is she's going to do that copy first before she does the attack to make sure that she always gets those buffs off the primary before she tries to kill him.
Oh, cool, great. All right, let's move on to the second half of this duo. Could you tell us a bit more about Icarus, please?
Sure. So Icarus is a blaster. He is a heavy damage dealer. He's also very, very healthy, and he's got pretty decent focus and resistance. Just, he's an Eternal.
All right, let's start with the passive ability.
Sure. Just like Cersei, Icarus has a number of shared abilities. So if he starts a match with full health, then at 40% health after he's taken some damage, then he gets a one-time full debuff clear and he will heal himself up. He's also gaining defense up and speed up on his turn, and he's doing the same action with death proof. So on his turn, he's going to pick an enemy that has death proof, and he's going to try to clear that, and then he's going to give himself and Cersei death proof. What is unique about Icarus is that on his spawn, he's going to give himself and Cersei offense up for 2 turns, and in Arena and Dark Dimension, the offense up goes to all of his allies. Then on his turn, if he's not stunned, he's going to clear ability block and 1 random debuff from himself, from Cersei, and from a random ally. And then on turn, he's always going to heal himself for 15%, and he gives himself and Cersei some extra armor, some extra resistance, and in Arena and Dark Dimension, he gives an extra 25% damage to himself and Cersei.
I think it might have been easier to just ask what he doesn't do. All right, so to summarize his passive, it's basically you want to pair him with Cersei and you want to put them in Arena or Dark Dimension. Like that's kind of the high level, right?
That's their happy place, yes.
Got it. All right, let's move on to his ultimate ability, please. And I think there's a little less text this time.
Just a little bit. For his ultimate, he's going to attack all. He's going to do a really big attack all. And then if anybody's killed in that attack, then he's going to do it again. Now, if Cersei is an ally, he's going to flip all the buffs on every enemy to debuffs before he attacks. Then he's going to hit, but he also is adding a little bit of piercing to it from Cersei. And he's going to reduce the speed bar of all enemies. And then again, if he kills anybody, he does that attack again. Now, the second attack with Cersei is just the damage and piercing attack. It doesn't reduce the speed bar a second time. Oh, and his ult can't be dodged or blocked.
So when it says repeat this attack, is it just once, or would it repeat again if you happen to knock out another character with that attack?
No, it's just the one-time attack. So if one person is killed on his first attack, it'll attack one other time.
Okay, thanks for clarifying. All right, we're making some great progress here. His special ability, can you give us the rundown on that?
Sure. His special is a big AoE attack. It's going to hit the primary target hardest and clear all the enemy's death proofs and hit all adjacent enemies a little bit less hard. Now, if any of those targets block the attack, then he gains a bonus attack, up to 2 bonus attacks. With the attack over, he gives himself and Cersei some death proof, and then he calls on Cersei and one other ally to assist.
Okay, let's round things out. Icarus's basic attack, please.
All right, on his basic, he's going to do a single target piercing attack. He's going to hit his primary target for piercing damage. And if Cersei's an ally, he's going to get bonus attacks for that. Now, if Cersei is there, then depending on her health, he's going to give her a couple buffs. So if her health is good, if it's above 50%, he's going to give her offense up. And if it's low, if it's below 50%, he's going to give her a regen.
Okay, so this is definitely an extremely strong duo. In testing, what are you finding are the ISO 8 classes that you are gravitating toward?
For Icarus, we've been playing him with either striker or skirmisher generally, kind of depending on what team you put him onto. He hits really hard, and so that striker is a great boost to damage if he has someone feeding him vulnerables that he can then strike off of. If I add him to a team that has a whole bunch of good strikers already, then he makes a good skirmisher. For Cersei, I like to play her either as a fortifier or a healer. She has a ton of health, so if she's a healer, the regen she applies on her turn feel really good when they go off. And as a fortifier, if I need her to keep herself healthier, then she's got high ability. Some folks on the team like to play her as a skirmisher as well, because again, she's got really high focus, and so that helps, and that really helps clearing off buffs from enemies on the ISO attack.
I'm glad to hear that about fortifier. I always like to hear when we have new characters that can make use of that one. I find in my roster, fortifier is probably the class that I usually tend to use the least, so that's exciting to hear that she can make use of fortifier.
Yeah, she should be really good in that position.
So obviously there's a number of callouts to Arena specifically in their kits. And right now we have Infinity Watch that is really kind of tending to dominate that area of the game. Are these Eternals going to be able to give the IW a run for their money?
Absolutely. Icarus and Cersei together in Arena are meant to shake up the status quo there.
So there are also callouts to Dark Dimension, and as we mentioned last week, Dark Dimension 5 is on the horizon. Are we expecting that these characters are going to have some value there?
Yes. They should be a really strong duo for any Dark Dimension team. The Dark Dimension callouts make them really great for anyone pushing their way through Dark Dimensions 1 through 4, and you will definitely want them in Dark Dimension 5.
Now, again, as I mentioned before, there are 100 Eternals in the Marvel canon. Are we expecting to see more in the near future?
Well, we plan these two characters to be a duo, to really work well together and to be stand alone as a couple.
Yeah.
But there are lots of Eternals to expand to if we decide to go forward for a full team later. But right now, we just have them out there as a duo.
And then finally, when are we expecting that players can get their hands on these new Eternals?
They will both be unlocked sometime in our next release, version 5.8, which is coming very, very soon.
All right, can't wait. All right, Todd, thank you so much for stopping by and giving us the breakdown on these characters. And a reminder for the audience out there, if you haven't seen his interview with Reminax about Dormammu, go check that one out. Thanks for coming, Todd.
Thank you.
All right, it's time to get to the community spotlight, and geez, I'm just blown away at all of the creativity that we're going to highlight today. First, I want to highlight a direct message that I got via Discord from member, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this name, XXX Batman XXX, who sent me a photo of his custom Deathpool along with her proud papa Deadpool. These two are just absolutely beyond adorable, and I don't think even the shut up and take my money meme does this one justice. Next, let's head on over to the official Facebook group, and if you haven't joined in yet, it is a lot of fun. Go check it out and join the group. Rick Young showed off his first 1 million power team of the Heroes for Hire, and it's one of the most intimidating things I have ever seen. Omega Red, you can't get here soon enough. Zach Hurst made some amazing infographic guides about the astonishing X-Men. All joking aside, there are so many awesome members of the community that create these infographics to help out newer players. I really just have to give a sincere thank you, and you get a Cerebro salute. Sean Stelmashenko shared via meme form what most of us are actually thinking every single day. Now, considering that I also work on the game and do those activities, I don't know, my brain just goes into some sort of paradoxical loop that I'm never going to be able to recover from. David James Wurtenberg shared photos of an amazing shrine of Marvel statues that he has, especially Wolverine and Weapon X. He's also apparently a stellar tattoo artist and has a shop in Anaheim, California. But I already checked and he's booked up for the next 8 months. Oh well, maybe someday I'll get that picture of Magneto tattooed on my thigh. And speaking of Weapon X, Dorkside Fitness over on Instagram shared this killer Weapon X cosplay that would make even Hugh Jackman blush. I don't even know what to say here. You win the internet, sir. Now let's head on over to the official Discord server and check out the fan art channel. This Venom sketch by Jedi Viking is simple yet elegant, proving that analog illustrations can be just as impressive as their digital counterparts. This Ghost Rider illustration by Mr. Pie is scorching hot. And I'm gonna have to make a formal request of the Discord moderators to make this an emoji 5 minutes ago. I want it. Artist Viz Loki is back with a rendition of an actual Marvel comic panel where Vision looks to be taking off a jacket or his suit. They say that art is supposed to make you feel something, and if that's true, Viz Loki does have me pondering a few different emotions when checking out his artwork. And finally, this painting of Rogue by Cywolf Z shows Anna Marie either about to relax after a hard day, or is about to sap some strength from the first person. As one of the most requested characters to be added to Marvel Strike Force, I've been talking with the development team about this like all the time, and I'm pushing really hard to get her in the game. In fact, hey Todd, come back here. Come help me out, buddy. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Have a happy and safe Halloween. Be sure to take lots of pictures of your Marvel costumes and post them to the official Facebook group, and they might get shown on the next episode of Strike Time. It's a strange world out there, so be safe, and we'll see you next time. Love Halloween candy. Let me know in the comments below your favorite Halloween candy. I really cannot wait to see this discussion get going. so good.